You know, Howard, one of the things that I get a chance to do is I see you every year during the Super Bowl. And I always laugh because I give you a big hug and I always say, I know you got some difficult conversations coming because you're a Hall of Fame voter. So you're in that room when guys' fate in terms of will they be immortalized forever in terms of going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or will they have to wait a year or two? We were having a spirited discussion before the show started, Howard, because you look at Kirk Cousins' numbers right now. And look, we don't know if the Minnesota Vikings will or they won't, but if they win the Super Bowl and Kirk Cousins has the seasons that he's having in terms of the numbers, the production, the touchdowns, is he not a Hall of Famer? What would it take for Kirk Cousins to be a Hall of Famer if he continues at the rate of play that he's going with right now?
Well, if he puts up multiple Super Bowls, then he enters the conversation. But I'll give you some guys from the past who have never even been in the conversation. And when I say in the conversation, I'm not saying people out there just talking about them, but even being a semifinalist or, of course, getting to be a finalist. And we're talking about, Phil Simms had some great seasons for the Giants and some Super Bowls there. Boomer Esiason with the Bengals. I mean, there's some quarterbacks that don't even get a sniff when it comes to the Hall of Fame. And so I think with Cousins, he will be judged certainly within the company that he keeps. And that company over the last number of years obviously has been Patrick Mahomes, who will be, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, whoever you want to mention. And there's some guys in there that we are saying, oh my goodness, it's hard to imagine them not being Hall of Famers. So I'm lukewarm on him certainly, but like I said, if all of a sudden he starts reeling off these years one after the other, which would be very difficult because no matter how good you are, it's hard to win Super Bowls. But it's going to be pretty tough for that. And we all also know that how much it matters who's around the player. Hey, you talk about a guy like Matthew Stafford. I mean, here's a guy who was looked at, okay, pretty darn good quarterback, played a lot of years, couldn't win in Detroit because the teams weren't very good. Last year, they win the Super Bowl, mostly because of the defense, but had the great drive at the end of the game. And all of a sudden, everybody said, oh, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm going, whoa, tap the brakes a little bit there. But is he one? I mean, I'd say he might be one more than Kirk Cousins, but I'm not so sure that Matthew Stafford is. So that again, is how difficult it is to crack that group. And I'll give you a quick one. We just voted this past week on our 25 semifinalists for this year. It's going to be announced next week, 2 days before Thanksgiving, the 25 guys. And this was one of the toughest years I had figuring out who the 25 are going to be. The first 10, 12, 15 maybe are, okay, we know who those guys are.
Right.
But then you start looking at some of the other ones on that nominee list, and I'm saying, wow, there's a lot of quality players here. And who do you put on? Who do you not include in your 25? And I'm sure the 48 others who are voting experienced the same thing. But what it does, like I said, it illustrates just how tough it is to get into that special group that gets enshrined every year in Canton.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.